Nobody wanted the job. That much was clear. In the quiet town of Maple Hollow, the elderly residents at Rosehaven Care Home came and went with little fanfare. The pay was minimum wage, the hours were long, and the building itself had seen better decades. It smelled of antiseptic and forgotten dreams. When the last night shift caregiver quit without notice, the listing stayed up for weeks. Applicants would come in, take one look around, and never return. But then came Lena. 26, soft-spoken, and recently laid off from her job at a local diner, Lena didn't have the luxury to be picky. Her rent was overdue. Her mother's medical bills were piling up. And when she saw the ad taped to the window of the corner store, night caregiver needed immediate hire. Something tugged at her. She walked in and filled out the application that same day. "I'll take it," she told the director, a weary woman named Janet with worry lines deep as ravines. "I can start tonight." Janet blinked. "You sure, honey? It's not easy." "I'm sure." And just like that, Lena became the night shift caregiver, the job no one else wanted. The first few nights were uneventful. Lena made rounds, changed linens, listened to the moaning of wind through cracked windows, and soothed the occasional nightmare with a whisper and a hand squeeze. Most of the residents were too frail or too lost in dementia to talk. But then she met Mr. Whitaker. He stayed in room 9. 93 years old. Blind. Mostly silent. Staff said he used to be a high school history teacher, then a veteran, then something no one really knew. He never had visitors. His file was thin, with a big red X over family contacts. But each night, Lena found herself drawn to his room. He seemed to sense her presence, tilting his head slightly when she entered, or reaching out as if to find her hand. "Can I sit for a while?" she asked one night. He didn't reply. But he didn't stop her either. So she sat. And night after night, she started talking, about the diner, about her mother, about the time she slipped on ice in front of the entire 10th grade. She wasn't sure if he understood. But talking felt better than silence. Then one night, he spoke. "Did they tell you about the basement?" Lena froze. "What basement?" He turned his head toward her, unseeing eyes wide with something between fear and longing. "Under this place, they buried it. But it's still there. Mr. Whitaker, are you okay? Do you need something?" He gripped her wrist, surprisingly strong. "You're not like the others. You feel things. You should see it. Before it's too late." She left the room unsettled, brushing it off as dementia-induced rambling. But the next day, something gnawed at her. Curious, she asked Janet. "Is there a basement?" Janet paused. "There was, once. Old storage. Sealed off back in the 90s. Nothing down there now." But something in her voice, the way her eyes darted, told Lena that wasn't the whole truth. That night, as rain battered the windows and thunder rolled in the distance, Lena walked the halls with a flashlight. She passed the nurse's station, turned down a forgotten corridor, and found a locked door with a rusted handle and a faint draft creeping beneath it. The basement. She shouldn't have gone down there. That's what her instincts screamed. But she did. The door creaked open. The stairs groaned under her weight. Dust rose in clouds as she descended. At the bottom, she found rows of broken furniture, cobwebs, and old boxes. And then, in the far corner, a narrow, makeshift room, like a prison cell. Inside it, a pile of children's drawings, small worn shoes, and a faded nameplate, Hope House, Orphan Outreach, 1952. Lena's heart dropped. Rosehaven hadn't always been a care home. Long before, it had been an orphanage, one with a dark, buried past. The air was thick with something Lena couldn't name, grief, maybe? Forgotten pain. She brought up the drawings, unable to stop herself. They showed faces, some smiling, some crying. One depicted a child behind bars. Another, a man with a cane towering over tiny figures. She spent the next days researching public records, library archives. And what she found made her stomach twist. In the early 1950s, several children had vanished from Hope House. Whispers of abuse, neglect. But no charges were ever filed. The place was shut down quietly, turned into a senior facility a decade later. No one ever looked back. Until now. Lena couldn't sleep for days. She kept visiting Mr. Whitaker. "Did you know?" she finally asked. His eyes welled with tears. "I was one of them," he said hoarsely. "They took us in. Then they broke us. I tried to forget. But some things, they don't stay buried." She held his hand tighter. "Why tell me?" "Because you listened." And Lena did more than that. She scanned the drawings, uploaded them, shared the story anonymously on a community forum. The post went viral. Suddenly, people cared. Journalists called. Historians dug deeper. Former residents, now elderly, came forward with their own memories. The town, once so eager to forget, began to reckon with what had been hidden beneath its feet. A documentary team visited. Donations poured in to renovate the basement space into a memorial and healing center for survivors of childhood trauma. And Rosehaven? It got a new name, Haven's Light. But the story doesn't end there. A few weeks later, Lena received a letter. No return address. Just her name. Inside was a note, written in shaky cursive. "Because of you, we were finally seen. Thank you for being the one who listened. J.W." Tucked in the envelope was a photo, grainy and aged, of 5 children standing outside the orphanage, arms around each other. One boy had a familiar face. A face like Mr. Whitaker's. She cried. Not out of sadness, but because, for the first time, someone's pain hadn't been buried. It had been acknowledged, honored. And somehow, in the middle of it all, Lena, the girl who just needed a paycheck, had changed everything. Conclusion, voiceover style ending. Sometimes, the job no one wants holds the story everyone needs to hear. Sometimes, listening becomes the greatest act of love. And sometimes, the smallest act, sitting with a silent man, following a whispered memory, daring to care, can shine a light into the darkest corners of the past. Because kindness doesn't just heal the present. It redeems the forgotten.